So here's my question. And look, Rico, maybe people don't take what we're taking out of it. But does that comment mean no matter what, Dan Campbell's guaranteed year 3? I feel like it does.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like unless this totally death spirals and something unforeseen like 1 in 13, 1 in 16, if they simply win a few more games, none of this matters. They're all in. Yeah. That his 6-year contract is absolutely a direct indicator of ironclad job security. That Sheila is not David Tepper. She's not going to fire someone she owes $40 million to, right, etc.
No, and Sheila believes in the long term. As you say, Brad and I and Locks, they're in this thing together. So it means that because once it starts falling apart, that's when I think the finger point is going to happen. You're no longer going to hear Brad and I. You're going to hear me and I wanted this, but people didn't. But right now, she's frustrated, but she's all in with them. Tells me, yeah, this thing could go, Mike, they could win 4 or 5 games. And don't worry about it because we're going to be back next year and we'll have another opportunity to fix this thing. And what bothers me, you got 2 first-round picks that could be really good picks thanks to the Rams. You better be sure that these are your guys.
And again, if you think it's the right move and you think you feel a sense of relief, let's have that conversation. But I want to just lob this hand grenade right into the bedroom and let you guys figure it out. 248-539-9797. Because to me, I don't operate the way that they do. I don't care if it's life, business, relationships, whatever it is. It doesn't matter how much you like somebody. If they're not good in your life, if they don't help you, if they're not a positive force, if they're not bringing you in the right direction, they got no place in your life. So when you look at the NFL, I'm not telling you it's a great idea to get rid of a coach after 2 years. I'm not telling you that's what I want. I don't. I much prefer this team would be 4-1 right now, and we are geared up to go play the Cowboys. But the reality is the minute you don't think you've got the right coach, you get rid of them. Period. You don't sit here and hope. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is just an emotion. And Dan Miller said this the other day off air, and I don't think I'm not narking on Dan. Dan just said, he goes, no, I think year 3 is guaranteed. They like him, close quote.
Yeah, and Mike, it was almost no matter what, he's going to be back, guys.
Yeah.
He didn't say those exact words, but that was the vibe that he gave off. Like, yeah, he'll be back.
And that's something that I think has been the Fords' weakness for a long time, is that their personal feelings towards a coach cloud their judgment. Hell, I think everybody likes Dan Campbell. I think everybody wanted Dan Campbell to be successful. I don't have any personal animus towards him. I may not love certain aspects of the personality and the presentation. I just care about results. But, guys, if this season really death spirals and you end up 4-13, no, I'm sorry. A coach who is 7-26-1 after 2 seasons, I don't think you're guaranteed a 3rd year. I don't think it's acceptable that you are very likely within the first 2 years of the regime to replace both coordinators you hired. And I think Rico brings up a great point. Here's the biggest mistake you make, and you just made it with Quintricia. You don't give guys on an ultimatum or guys that lack security the power to make long-term decisions. Because you know what happens? They make short-term cover-your-ass decisions. Just like Bob Quinn made with Okuda instead of taking a QB.
Right.
Dan and Brad will go into next year heavy pressure. And if they don't make the right organizational moves, Rico's nailed this, you'll be set back years.
Because you're set back years now, because we wouldn't be talking about QBs of the future, because you would have your choice between Tua and Herbert. You would have a QB here in Detroit. But instead, they took the quick fix because they knew their jobs were on the line. Let's take Okuda. Let's try to fix this thing immediately. It didn't work. And I think the same would happen next year. Because my thing is, man, if you're bringing a person back and there's a possibility that they could be gone by next Thanksgiving's game, why are you bringing them back? because that you shouldn't be allowed. That Rams pick is looking better and better because I do think that Stafford's injured, and you may get a second pick in the teens without having to make a trade or move up. Boy, you could really overhaul your defense with the right players. But I need to know that the guys are not desperate when they're making their pick, and they're making the wise pick, looking at the best players instead of the quick fix of right now.
And Rico has brought up, and I agree with you, Rico, this idea of if they go into next year, if this season is a 4-13 year, it's very unlikely Jared Goff's your quarterback, which means two guys up against it with draft capital will attempt to make a franchise-altering move for a quarterback. Like you said, either moving up or free agency or a trade. You better be real careful with the way it's worked out with some of these quarterback acquisitions. I think it is very dangerous to guarantee Dan Campbell a third year. We all want it to work. But, guys, the comment Dan made now, if they lose the next 3 weeks, it can't sound the same. It can't be the same at 1-7 because then you're looking 9 games left in the season. How many of these games actually matter? The answer is 0. How much has this team improved? The answer will largely be 0. And at that point, if you're not having an open dialogue about the future of your franchise, you've kind of told me you don't know what you're doing. I just don't think you can guarantee. And again, if you don't think those comments mean what I think they mean, say it. But it says to me, and I think Rico's riding with me on this, me potentially in the sidecar and him driving the motorcycle, Dan Campbell's not going anywhere.
No.
They could get punched in the face the next 12 weeks. They're not going anywhere because Sheila is Martha and Martha is William. It's all the same. Yeah, patience is the order of the day.
Mike, to me, this screams this, and I don't like using this term a lot, but this to me is same old Lions. This is exactly what your parents did. You see the ineptitude, but you embrace it because they're nice guys, and I'm going to give them a chance to try to fix this thing instead of being the leader and saying, no, we're going to do better. I'm going to do better. I'm going to be better than the previous generation. I'm going to go out here and set the new standard for this team. No, you are rolling over and doing the exact same thing that mommy and daddy did, and that's what I'm seeing. So, yeah, that's not a term that I like to throw around, but this does have same old Lion feel that, yeah, she's disappointed, but she's right there with us because you've sold her on your long-term plan. But in the NFL, as we keep bringing up, that's not a thing. That may have been a thing a decade ago, but right now it's not. It's you can flip a team from worse to an 8-win team in 2 years, and you're seeing. No, everybody thought that the Jets and the Giants and the Seahawks were all going to be in the same boat as the Lions. Guess what? They upgraded. You're still in the back of the boat.
And by the way, the point I focus on there is, we had a conversation. Dan is charming. He's nice. We like him. We've heard this with every coach. Every coach.
Yeah.
They hire people they like. They don't hire people they need. And look, I like Dan Campbell. Probably a great guy to have a beer with. But if I doubt your ability to get this done, what the hell are we doing? So I want to know from the people. And David, if you'd be so kind, when we bump back, I'd like you to bump back with that audio. Does this comment from Dan Campbell mean he's guaranteed to be back for a third year? Whether you agree with that or not, do you think it's right? Do you think the conversation about, hey, we're getting to the precipice here where we begin talking job security, do you think we're out of line with that? Do you think fans are being impatient? Maybe today's the day for the super fans. Maybe today's the day for foam engine block guy. Maybe the super fans want to get wild today. Dress up a little bit, put a little body paint on, right? Get crazy. Call up and say, we buy. We're all in on Dan Campbell. If he were a stock, I'm buying. You do whatever you want. I'm just open-minded, and to me, the way this season has started has entered this into evaluation phase. That comment says that ain't happening. So you guys tell us where you're at. 248-539-9797. We'll get the ticket text. We'll get the people. Got a little NBA around the court or wrap around or whatever you call it coming up a little later. some quarterback stuff. Owners gone wild at the league meetings for the NFL. Two well-known owners screaming at each other. That's right. That's right, baby. I just got married, and I'm on top of the world. Look out. We'll get to that later and a whole lot more. 97.1.